June 12, 2026, a welder wakes up, makes his coffee, opens his phone and freezes. He checks the number again and again. It hasn't changed overnight without doing anything different, without getting a promotion, without winning a lottery. He is a millionaire. But here's the thing. This was not an accident. This was not luck. This was a decision he made in 2015 when a piece of paper landed on his desk and he almost didn't sign it. His name is Juan Hernandez, 2015, Hawthorne, California. Juan grew up in a working class family in East Los Angeles. His father spent 34 years laying concrete in the California heat. His mother cleaned hotel rooms 6 days a week, every single week, for decades. They were not poor, but they were never free. Money was always the conversation at the dinner table. Not investing, not stocks, not opportunity. Just how do we make it to the end of the month? Juan was good with his hands, really good. The kind of good that you cannot teach in a classroom. He could look at a piece of metal and already know what it needed to become. So when SpaceX called him for a welding job, he showed up, he passed the test, got the job. He drove home that evening thinking about the salary. It was decent, not amazing, but decent enough to pay the rent, enough to take his wife, Maria, out for dinner. Once in a while, enough. But then there was a line at the bottom of the offer letter. Stock options, $10,000 worth. Juan went home that night and showed Maria. She read it twice, looked up at him, and said, "What even is this?" Juan said, "I don't know." She said, "Don't sign things you don't understand." Juan lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling. He thought about his father. 34 years of hard work, a small pension, a tired back, and a life where every single decision was made around money he did not have. He thought, what if there's another way? The next morning, he went to the office and signed the paper, not because he understood it, but because something told him this company is different. He had no idea how right he was. Now, let me tell you about Trevor High's 2011. Fresh out of engineering school at Georgia Tech, Trevor had options, real options. Boeing was calling, Lockheed Martin was calling, NASA contractors were sending emails. These were the dream companies. Stable salaries, great benefits, health insurance from day one, a clear, comfortable path. His father sat him down one evening at the kitchen table. He spread out the offers in front of them both. He said, "Trevor, look at this. Boeing, Lockheed. These are real companies. These are companies that have been here for 70 years and will be here for 70 more. Then he pointed at the SpaceX letter. He said, "This company has failed 3 times. 3 rockets exploded. They nearly went bankrupt in 2008. The smart money is not on Elon Musk right now." Trevor listened, nodded, and then called SpaceX back the next morning. He joined as an intern. The salary was below market. His college friends thought he had made a mistake. Some of them said it directly. "Trevor, you graduated top of your class and you're taking an intern salary at a company that blows up rockets." Trevor smiled and kept working because Trevor was not thinking about salary. He was thinking about what this company could become. Every year, instead of pushing for a bigger paycheck, Trevor pushed for more stock options. His colleagues thought he was crazy. Some of them left for better paying jobs at other companies, better titles, better offices, better salaries. They sent Trevor photos of their new desks, their new cars, their new apartments. Trevor sent back a thumbs up and went back to work. 2012, he stayed. 2015, he stayed. 2018, he stayed 12 years. Same company, same mission, same desk. By 2026, Trevor Highs held over 100,000 shares of SpaceX. His friends who left for bigger salaries, they were still working their regular jobs. Trevor was about to never have to work again, but here's the part of this story that nobody talks about. It was not just engineers and welders. Her name was Rosa. Rosa Gutierrez had worked in the SpaceX cafeteria since 2013. Every single morning she was there before the engineers, before the scientists, before the executives. She served breakfast to rocket scientists. Coffee, eggs, toast. She knew everyone's order by heart. She knew who took their coffee black and who needed 2 sugars. She knew which engineers skipped breakfast when a launch was approaching and which ones stress ate when something went wrong. She was part of the building, part of the rhythm, part of the mission. When Rosa joined SpaceX, HR handed her the same paperwork everyone got. There was a line for stock options. Rosa almost laughed. She thought, "I serve food. I'm not an engineer. I'm not building anything. Why would a rocket company give someone like me stock?" Her sister told her not to bother. Her brother said it was probably worth nothing anyway. Rosa signed it, mostly because the HR lady seemed like she genuinely meant it when she said, "Everyone here is part of the mission." Rosa went back to her coffee station the next morning and kept showing up day after day, year after year. June 12, 2026, Rosa Gutierrez woke up a millionaire, a cafeteria worker, a millionaire, because Elon Musk believed that if you're part of the mission, you deserve a piece of the reward. Now let me explain exactly how this worked. When SpaceX hired Juan, Trevor, Rosa, and thousands of others, the company was private. That means their shares had no real market value, yet they could not sell them, could not cash them out. They could not even tell most people what they were worth. They just held them and waited. While they waited, SpaceX kept building things that had never been built before. Rockets that launched into space and then landed themselves back on a pad, not crashed. Landed precisely, perfectly, like something from a science fiction film, except it was real and it was happening in their backyard. Starlink, a constellation of thousands of satellites providing internet to places that had never had a reliable connection in their entire history. NASA contracts worth billions. Pentagon contracts commercial launches. SpaceX became the backbone of the new space economy. Every single achievement made those shares more valuable. But still, the employees could not touch them. This is exactly what Elon designed. He did not want people who came to work for a paycheck. He wanted people who came to work because they owned a piece of something extraordinary. A welder who owns shares does not just weld, he makes sure every single weld is perfect because it is his company too. Then came June 12, 2026, the night before Wall Street analysts were publishing their final predictions. Some said the stock would open at $90, some said 120, the most aggressive called 140. Nobody predicted what actually happened. The NASDAQ opening bell rang at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. SpaceX's ticker appeared on the screen for the very first time. The entire floor went quiet for a moment, then chaos. Before the market even opened, institutional investors had already placed $150 billion worth of orders. That is double what SpaceX was even asking for. The demand was so overwhelming that the opening was delayed by 4 minutes while the systems processed the volume. The stock opened at $135 per share. Within the first 30 minutes, it hit $145. By midday, $155. At one point, it touched 30% above the IPO price in a single session. Traders who had been on the floor for 30 years said they'd never seen anything like it by end of day. SpaceX closed at $160.95, the largest IPO in the history of the world, $75 billion raised in a single day. SpaceX's total market value, $2.25 trillion, not billion, trillion. Remember, Trevor, 100,000 shares multiplied by $135 per share. That is $13.5 million in one day. The engineer who took below market salary for 12 years, the guy whose father told him to play it safe, the man whose friends sent him photos of their fancy apartments while he stayed at his same desk, $13.5 million. And Juan, the welder who lay awake that night staring at the ceiling, the man whose wife said, "Don't sign things you don't understand." That $10,000 worth of stock from 2015 had grown year after year after year as SpaceX became the most valuable aerospace company in history. June 12, 2026, Juan Hernandez, welder, millionaire. He called Maria. She didn't believe him. He had to read the number out loud 3 times before it felt real. She went quiet on the phone. Then she said, "Juan, is this real?" He said, "Maria, we're never going to worry about money again." And Rosa. She found out at 6 a.m. before her shift started, sitting in her car in the parking lot with a cup of coffee she had made at home. She sat there for 20 minutes without moving. Then she walked into the cafeteria and made breakfast because the engineers still needed to eat. But Juan and Trevor and Rosa were not alone. Not even close out of SpaceX's 22,000 employees, 4,400 people became millionaires that day. 400 of them made $100 million or more. Engineers, welders, technicians, security guards, cafeteria workers, people who had never seen this kind of money in their entire lives. People whose parents worked their whole lives for a salary and retired with nothing. People who grew up being told that wealth was for other people, for people who came from the right families, went to the right schools, made the right connections. All of them in one single day, never had to worry about money again. And at the very top, Elon Musk became the world's very first trillionaire, not a billionaire, a trillionaire, a number the world had never seen before attached to a single human being. So here's what I want you to understand. Juan did not get rich because he was a genius. He was a welder, a good one, but a welder. Trevor did not get rich because he was the smartest engineer in the room. There were engineers smarter than Trevor who left for better salaries and are still working today. Rosa did not get rich because she had a special skill. She made coffee and eggs. They got rich because of one decision. They chose ownership over salary. The people who left SpaceX for bigger paychecks, they got those paychecks every single month on time and they spent them, and they are still working today. The people who stayed and took the stock, they never have to work again. Juan almost didn't sign that paper. Trevor almost took the safe job. Rosa almost threw the options form in the bin because she thought it wasn't meant for someone like her. One signature, one decision, one moment of choosing to believe that the future could be worth more than the present. That is the difference between spending your whole life working for money and making money work for you.